As we turn the calendar through October, it is the time of year where we start to get excited about fall foliage in North Georgia. Joining me now to talk about the current status of foliage and what we can expect the rest of this fall is Casey Tudor, a forester with the Georgia Forestry Commission. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So Casey, let me start off with this. What are we actually seeing right now in the North Georgia mountains? Are we starting to see some patchy colors showing up here?
Yeah, we're starting to get some, mostly in the higher elevations right now where temperatures are a little bit cooler. We're expecting somewhere around the 10% total leaf change at this moment. Like I said, that is going to be more affected in the higher altitudes. So, for instance, in Northwest Georgia, we're looking at about 10% leaf change across the board, both above and below 3,000 feet. Whereas kind of in North Central Georgia, we're looking at about 8% total change above 3,000 feet and about 4% below 3,000 feet. And then you can expect about the same in Northeast Georgia as well.
Do you think that with this cool snap, at least in the overnights through the weekend, you think we'll get a little more progression there in the highest elevations?
I do. I think we'll start to see a little bit more leaf change as the temperatures tend to cool. One of the big factors, though, is going to be how many sunny days we have. That's going to allow those leaves to kind of show those vibrant colors. If we get some cool nights mixed with warm sunny days, then we can expect a lot more vibrant colors. Whereas if the temperature drops off too quickly, that can actually speed up the process and lead to a little bit earlier of a leaf drop.
So there's a lot of different science factors at play. What is the typical peak for fall foliage season up in far northwest and North Georgia versus here in the Atlanta metro where we are watching from 11 Alive?
Typically in North Georgia, you're going to see, especially in the mountains, more of a peak season around kind of early to mid-October. Whereas lower elevations like toward the Atlanta area may be later into the month, like mid to late October and even early November, depending on factors like rainfall, temperature, and especially whether we have any hard frosts in the near future. That can actually cause the leaves to drop even sooner.
And I bet that the current rapid onset drought also impacts that. Can you talk to me, Casey, a little bit more about if you all expect at the Georgia Forestry Commission some of that drought to impact the vividness or the time frame of the leaf change? And also, are we expecting any impact from Helene last year, which brought a lot of strong winds and in parts of the state downed a lot of those trees?
Absolutely. So rainfall is going to be a large factor. Moderate rainfall is going to produce the most healthy and colorful leaf patterns. Whereas if we get too much rain, that could lead to more fungus issues and duller, more muted colors. And with the current drought that we've been dealing with, that's going to lead to stress within those trees and probably going to lead to a lot quicker leaf change, mostly more muted browns and yellows, and also an earlier drop as well. And Hurricane Helene definitely, even though it was about a year ago now, it's going to cause some issues with mostly the canopy structure. With all the dead and down trees that we had from the storm, that will create some gaps in the canopies, obviously. So we may not have the continuous fall color you would normally expect due to those gaps in the tree canopies. And also in areas that had very prolonged flooding as a result of Hurricane Helene, that could lead to nutrients being leached out of the soil, which could also dull the colors this year.
So a lot of factors, rapid onset drought, Helene. Let me stay on this topic of the two of these. Are you concerned at all with trees down from Helene last year and also the flash drought that the fire risk will be a little bit more elevated? Because I know you all monitor wildfires here, wildland fires across the state as well. Are you concerned more about that moving through this month?
It's definitely a concern for us as we're kind of getting into the southern fire season. We have a lot more dead and down debris on the forest floor, which means there's more fuel in the event of a wildfire. So we're currently working a few different programs to help landowners kind of remove some of that dead and down debris and reduce the fuel loads in order to potentially decrease the risk of those wildfires. If a wildfire breaks out right now, especially in some of the more heavily affected areas, we can expect a lot more higher fire activity.
So Casey, now that the burn ban is lifted October 1st, there are leaves falling and people have a lot of debris in the yard. They want to get rid of it. Is it a good idea to burn leaves and sticks and all that right now? Or are there extra precautions people need to be taking in these drought conditions to make sure they are not the reason a new wildfire starts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're having a lot more landowners around the state start to burn their leaves and yard debris, especially as the leaf fall continues. We can expect a lot more activity. We actually have changed our permitting system in recent history where yard debris and leaf piles that are being burned do not need permits, but we do ask that landowners take a few precautions when doing so. So we would like to make sure that landowners are maintaining 25 plus feet between the fire and the actual woods. We would like them to maintain 50 plus feet between fire and any structures, and maintain their burns between sunrise and sunset, and also be on site with fire extinguishing tools such as a hose or even a fire extinguisher present. That way, if the fire does get out, it can be controlled. And we just ask that you maintain reasonable precautions just to keep an eye on that, make sure that you're kind of raking out any debris that may be around that burn pile that could cause it to spread. Because like I said, with all the dead and down debris that we've had from Hurricane Helene, if those fires do get out and into the woods, we can expect a lot larger fire activity from those.
And that is one thing we definitely do not want. Let me ask you this now, Casey. Why is it important to conserve our trees in the state and treat them as a really valuable resource?
That's a great question. So Georgia is actually the #1 forestry state in the nation. We have over 14 billion trees within the state, and we are one of the highest states in terms of percentage of forests in the entire country. So timber is a very valuable resource for us, not just from a commercial perspective, but also from an aesthetic perspective and a clean air perspective, as well as clean water. So the forest gives us many benefits, and it's really important for us to try to manage those resources we have in a sustainable and a common sense manner that allows for our forest to continue to thrive.
We get through the month of October and into November. What's your favorite spot for leaf watching? What do you think is the most beautiful view as the leaves change their color this month?
You know, I think we're really blessed to be in a state where there is no bad seat for the leaf watch, with all the trees that we have, all the beautiful forests that are well managed and just promote these vibrant colors. Personally, my favorite would probably be Brasstown Bald. It's really hard to beat the view from the highest point in the state. It's just gorgeous out there with all the hardwoods. You get a lot of variety and color between the red maples and those vibrant red colors. Even the sweet gum have these beautiful red, yellow, purple twinges to them. And then you get that classic gold from your beeches, your hickories, and oaks as well. So there's a lot of good variety there, and it's just a beautiful area to overlook.
It's art in nature.
That's
Where can
exactly
people
right.
go? Each week you all are publishing Leaf Watch on your website. Where can people go to learn more about the current state of fall foliage and other things about the leaves changing colors this fall?
Yeah, so every week we do post a Leaf Watch update. It primarily covers Northwest, the North Central, and the Northeast Georgia area. That can be found on our website at gatrees.org. And as soon as you open the website, there will be a tab that says Leaf Watch right on the main page there. So all you got to do is click that and you can see each week's update.
And it is exciting when you're here in Metro Atlanta and you look and you say, oh, it's 50% now above 3,000 feet. So you get excited and you figure out in your head, what are the scenic routes I'm going to take this weekend? Casey Tudor, forester with Georgia Forestry Commission, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me.